Have you rethought the decision to keep prices stable at all? Inflation obviously has been painfully high, and just the level of prices is obviously reset much, much higher just in the past couple of years.
It's a constant battle, and of course I think about it because when things get totally out of control, as they were a couple of years ago, the inflation has come off a bit, but it's still sticky in certain areas. But we have no plans on raising price. We're doing all we can behind the scenes to maintain that price, and equally as important is we've got our belt tightened to maintain that price, because sometimes you got to go into your profit margin a bit to sustain things like that. But we're committed.
You're committed. And I mean, of course, we've seen dollar stores, for example. A lot of them charge prices that are over $1. So everyone's feeling the pinch there. But in tightening the belt, maintaining those prices, what goes into that 99 cents? I mean, how do you maintain margins at that level? What have you actually done?
We sped up the lines over the years on the manufacturing side. Essentially, we used to pack our big cans at a couple hundred a minute. Now we pack them at 1,600 a minute. It's a tenfold increase in productivity. We've thin-walled the cans. We've changed the size of the end, but the end has got a lot of aluminum weight in it. Those kind of things are important because those are the things we can do without affecting consumer. We move things at night. We have rail. We built a brand new facility in New Jersey, over in Edison, New Jersey. And that plant has got rail sidings. We could put approximately 35 rail cars in our yard. So we use box cars. We bring product in, raw materials by tanker. We've taken thousands of trucks off the road with the help of New Jersey and some of the grants we've got. But more importantly, it's put a lid on our cost on moving product, because it's weight with water and it's heavy, and if you can move it by rail, it's a lot more efficient than truck.
That's really interesting. I mean, you made a number of points there. Let's start with the actual cans. So you've made them thinner. It sounds like you've adjusted the lids as well. Have you made them smaller as well?
No, the can is still the big can. It's, the changing can size is very expensive for can manufacturers. The ends are something that, they've worked together with us and other manufacturers to get the end down, where the opening is still sufficient to drink and have a nice drinking experience. But the end is radically, it's a recent thing about last year and a half, where we went from 209, which is a millimeter thing, to 206, and we shrunk it by a third. But that was a significant savings as well. But more importantly, as a company, we do, I believe, I have the good fortune of being very, have had great success in the beverage industry. I'm debt free. The only thing that's certain in life is money in the bank, I call it. And when you're able to withstand increases over the years, that kind of come at you and then sometimes settle down, we've held the line and we continue to do it. So hopefully we'll be able to keep doing it with a lot of hard work on the part of my peer, as well as my partners who supplied me things.
Right. Well, I want to follow up on what you were saying about how you actually move your cans around. That actually rail is a cheaper, more efficient way to do that than trucking. Has that switch changed where your product is actually available in the country?
No, I mean, we're nationally available. But our site in New Jersey, we never had a plant that had the ability to load boxcar as well as bringing raw materials like sugar and polypropylene, the things that make bottles, by rail. But now we have it, and we've been using the heck out of it. Boxcar as well. Boxcars, you can put on a boxcar equivalent to 5 truckloads in a standard truck. And that helps. That helps a lot because, there's one locomotive pulling 100 cars versus one guy driving a truck. So that type of efficiency is terrific. We didn't have the ability to do it until recently because most of our facilities don't have rail sidings. But this new one we designed to have that, and we've been using the heck out of it.
So we've spent, several minutes now talking about inflation, obviously a hot topic now, both for consumers and, of course, players in the beverage industry. But let's talk about the actual competitive landscape here, because, since 1992, there's been plenty more brands that have come out, of course, iced teas to energy drinks, sodas, et cetera. How has the competitive landscape changed, and how are you trying to maintain your share here?
I mean, back in '92, there was the cooler looked dramatically different than it does today. I mean, there was no energy drinks back then. There was all these probiotic and added drinks that have health benefits. Didn't exist back then. Um, it's become more competitive, but the other side of it is that I still compete with giants in the industry, and those giants are not as nimble as we are, and we're able to stay ahead of it. We started with 2 cans, with 2 flavors back in '92. Today we have probably close to 500 different SKUs to meet the demand of consumers, depending whether they want a small box for their lunch for their children or a 5-gallon box for some restaurant that serve it over ice. So we've changed the way we've gone to market over the years, and in order to do that, in order to stay relevant, you have to keep finding new ways to get consumers to switch from a brand they're currently drinking to ours. But we've been pretty good at it, and we continue to grow our business. So far, so good.
Well, to that point, I mean, you have to keep finding new ways to innovate, draw in new consumers. I imagine that comes down to spend, too. You have to invest to do that. So how do you weigh the importance of investing to, grow your audience and look at new brands versus, trying to keep prices stable?
When my 2 sons came to the company close to 20 years ago now, our website was one page. Today, it's vibrant with all kinds of communications going on with the things that I know very little about, that whole world of the internet. So communicating later. Traditional advertising we've never done. I don't believe in it. I think it's a waste of time and money. But the online communication to our consumers is vibrant today, and it's a very big part of our business. And as well as, I think part of what makes this company successful is I started as a truck driver, and I unloaded the trucks and loaded the trucks and wrote the invoice and delivered the product, collected it. So I have insight that some of the execs that run my competitive companies don't have. Not that they're ignorant, they're not, but what they don't have is that basic understanding of the beverage business. So when I talk to a distributor, I'm more relevant to them than some exec from a large company that never drove a truck, never unloaded a truck. I currently still unload trucks. I like driving a forklift. I'm one of the world's best forklift drivers. Lots of experience.
Yeah. So some actual on-the-ground experience, of course, that definitely helps you there. You bring up distribution, though, and that's actually where I'd like to go. We were talking about ETF distribution in the previous segment. Let's talk about the actual beverage industry. That's fascinating. I mean, how has that conversation changed in terms of what kind of stores you're actually getting your products placed in?
Well, there's less competition at the distributor level. There's less distributors today with consolidation, which is sometimes trouble because some distributors today have multiple offerings of teas and juices and things that we have. So it's a competitive field to get some attention at the distributor level. So that's changed a bit because when I started in the business, there were, in New York City, for instance, there were probably 50 different choices for distribution. Today, there's a handful. They've consolidated, they've gone out of business, the world changed, there's a lot more capital necessary. So, in 1970, I started as a truck driver, worked at a brewery in Brooklyn, and there were local breweries that distributed their own product. Today, there aren't that situation. It doesn't exist anymore. It's all multi-brand. So Bud House will have different products. Miller House will have Miller and Coors and other things. So that landscape has changed. But the facts are I'm very comfortable talking to distributors because I am a distributor. I was a distributor. I started as a distributor. So I have some insight and some practical approaches that some of the major companies don't have, which I think, again, is, we're dealing with independent operators, most of them family owned like me. And I don't look for anybody to spend their money foolishly because I hate that myself. So I'm a practical guy, and I think practical is something that doesn't exist sometimes, and because of the way the world changed. They think I can do all this foolish things and silly things, and I'm going to be successful. I say no. You have to understand where you're going, what you want to do. I tell people I hate to lose, but you have to be willing to win, and you have to work hard to win. So part of our success is that the philosophy I've gained over 50 plus years in the business is something I think is appreciated by distributors as well as retailers, because I used to be a retailer as well. So
Right.
I could sit with a buyer and understand his issues as well. So that's
Yeah.
what makes us unique, and I think that's what keeps us competitive.